Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 31 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. Well, it's been an interesting week off the field. The fallout from the goofballs in Atlanta with their tirade against Steve Gleason, which was absolutely absurd. Fortunately, they've apologized. Gleason has accepted it. He's a bigger man than them. And, of course, it did cost them their jobs. And, again, it's just the concept of the world we live in today, Lenny, with people trying to make noise, people trying to attract attention, and people trying to be entertaining, and sometimes they cross the line.
Exactly. If one good thing did come out of this, though, it's that a lot more attention has been drawn to Team Gleason and to trying to find a cure for ALS. Let's look at this point, we're 4 days beyond it. Let's look at the positive of what this produces. It attracted a lot of national attention to it. You know, Steve Gleason wrote a terrific piece on SI.com Monday as a guest writer in place of Peter King, a Monday morning quarterback. That's what started this whole thing. And you know, he was, you know, even in his acceptance of the apology, he really took the high road on this thing. He's just an extraordinary guy, and the fact that more attention has been called to his efforts in all of this over the past 4 days is really a positive. And all of this, it's still an unfortunate situation that Steve Gleason is afflicted with this, and that our society has to deal with ALS, and the fact that this even happened. But let's look at the positive in it. A lot more attention has been called to it recently.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Well, they got to the 2 anyway, so the Miami Heat world champions, a second straight year. LeBron James put his stamp on this series with a brilliant performance in Game 7. Clearly one of the top 3 or 4 players in the history of the game, working his way up that ladder in my mind as well with all that he does. They pulled a Houdini act in Game 6, and they took advantage of it.
They really did. By the way, Charles Barkley disagrees with you. He doesn't think LeBron James can make his starting 5 in the history of the NBA, but that's for another topic. He was extraordinary last night. You're right. They did pull a real Houdini act in Game 6. How about the folks leaving, you know, and then not being able to get back in? I don't guess they left last night, did they? But you know, congratulations to the Heat. You know, and some will talk about the fact, is this a good thing for the NBA? I mean, these guys basically put this thing together themselves to be able to all meet up in Miami. Was that a good thing? And is it a good thing for the future league? I'm not sure. Now we can look on to the draft. We're 6 days away from the draft. Pelicans pick 6th. You know, they're looking at a private workout of Victor Oladipo up in Washington, D.C. He could be a candidate for the 6th spot. Apparently may get a visit, at least for an interview, from Ben McLemore. So, you know, a lot to watch between now and Thursday.
All right, as far as the LSU baseball team is concerned, disappointing ending to what was a really good season. I thought Paul Mainieri handled himself with tremendous dignity and class, taking up for his players, clearly caring about them, and emotional afterwards. This was a successful season. To measure it any other way would be unfair, frankly. And the last time they got to the World Series in 08 and got knocked out by North Carolina, they won it the following year, and you can't dismiss that possibility next year.
Well, you can't, because a lot returns. Yes, they do lose some key parts, like Rafe Rhymes, like Mason Katz. But at the same time, they've got a lot of great pieces back, and you start with Aaron Nola when you have that, and of course Alex Bregman as well, who struggled in Omaha, but you got to believe he will be better for the experience. And that's the thing. Don't forget the fact that while LSU's been there 16 times since 1986, no player on this team had ever set foot in the city of Omaha for a baseball game, unless they were going to watch, I guess. But at least, you know, to play in the College World Series, whether it was at Old Rosenblatt or it was at TD Ameritrade Park. We're going to have a whole nother discussion about the park itself, but we'll leave it to say that, you know, that they will be better for this. And if they do get back next year, you have to stamp them a contender to win it all because of the experience of this year.
The New Orleans Zephyrs, in the midst of a homestand, they finish up their series with Oklahoma City tonight. Nashville comes in for 4 after that. Zephyrs 1 game under 500. They're last in their division, but only 5 out of first. And when you look at what they've done, they just haven't hit the ball that well this year, and power's been an issue as well with 38 home runs. Brian Peterson's been consistent, but not a whole lot of dependable power sources there. Pitching-wise, Phillips is 4-0 and has pitched very well, and of course Hatcher, 22 saves, has been elite for them. So they're in the mix, and they get Nashville coming in after Oklahoma City, and Nashville's a team they can handle.
Yeah, exactly, and they've played well against Nashville on the road, but How about the game the other night? Not you see something that maybe you don't see in baseball very often. Down 3, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. Kyle Kipworth comes up, hits a walk-off grand slam to win by a run. Not something you see very often. I think I remember seeing it a couple of times in all my years watching baseball. So that's the beauty of baseball. You love the sport. I love the sport. You never know what you're going to see when you go to the ballpark.
And the New Orleans Voodoo back home. Only 2 more home games, and the first of those takes place on Saturday evening at 7 p.m. The San Antonio Talons in town to take on the Voodoo, who are trying to win their second straight and their third straight at home, 1 game out of the playoff mix. And another former LSU quarterback comes back. We had Jordan Jefferson earlier this year with Pittsburgh. This time it's Rohan Davey with the Talons.
Yeah, last time he played in the Superdome, it was pretty good, I think, leading LSU to a Sugar Bowl win over Illinois, and he was dominant in the process. One of the great performances in the history of the Sugar Bowl, in fact. But maybe he'll remember those days. But still, in all, it's it's good to see the Voodoo playing better. And, like you say, only 2 more chances to get out and see him at home this year.
Yep, hope you do so. And then last but not least, Joe Sherman elevated to athletic director at Delgado. Kudos to him. Kudos to Tommy Smith for a job well done. And Joe has a fundraiser for his All-American program as well.
Right, Saturday night at Delgado. Tickets available at the ballpark or at the door. They've done this for many, many years, and a lot of people over a number of years have been a part of the Nord All-American program that, rags, and then Joe has run. Joe can't be involved in the coaching anymore, and with some of the rules changes that have happened. But he's got a great group of delegates that operate things for him. But it's a terrific night and it's almost like a baseball reunion of sorts with all of the people that do gather for this event every year.
And that's our First NBC weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank, 31 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area. Hope you'll support First NBC Bank. Lenny, is always a pleasure.
Hey, we'll see you next week.
And for Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.